the combination of being there at this like super fast growing startup and having small children and still being a wife and still being hopefully a friend and a daughter and a sister and all those other, you know what I mean?
Everything.
All of the roles that we're trying to do. I just felt like I was failing. I think if you've always been a working mom, you look at the stay-at-home mom with some like envy because you're like, what would that be like? And I think if you've always been a stay-at-home mom, you look at the working mom and you're like, oh, what if I got to use my gifts and I got to control my time? And and I think the fact that I've been able to like do both in a sense gave me so much more appreciation for where I'm at today.
Well, Amy, thanks so much for having us here.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Of course, interviewing the founder of Tower 28 at Tower 28 is exciting for us.
I've actually never done this before. I've never done a podcast filmed in my office.
It's super fun. I mean, I feel like unless our listeners are living under a rock, everyone knows that, you know, Tower 28 is the clean beauty brand. So if you're okay with it, I'd like to just jump right in.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I'm a founder also. My husband and I founded Guardian Recovery, I think in 2008. I feel like the majority of our success is really rooted in our why. So what is Tower 28's why, and how important do you think that is for a founder to like really be connected to their why?
I mean, I think it's everything. I started Tower 28 because I've had eczema my entire adult life, and I was looking for products that would not only help cover up my skin issues, but also would hopefully just not make them worse, but ideally would make them even better over time. So not only that I could get the immediate impact of being able to cover up my skin, but then help my skin look better in the long term. And that was really the ethos. I started out with products that were clean, safe for sensitive skin, and high performance. And I think that's still very true today. I would say from a purpose perspective, you asked how important it is for founders. I think the thing that I've found is it's so important to know what your purpose is, because it's a lonely and long road, right? And it just like constantly there are things that will come up. And if you really are doing it, I don't think there's anything wrong to want financial independence and to want the money side of things. But I'm pretty clear that that's not the thing that will make this worth it to me. And you have to have things that kind of keep you going and make you feel like it's worth it. And I think for me, it really is like when I get these notes from people that tell me, and people come up to me and they tell me how because of our products, finally they're able to wear makeup, or they feel like they walk differently through the world because of our products. And I think that is incredibly motivating for me, because I just really resonate with I both resonate and I am empathetic towards what it feels like to just be uncomfortable in your own skin after having eczema for such a long time, and how honestly insecure it made me. And I think as women, so much of our, I hate to say it, but so much of our, I think confidence can be dictated by the way that we look, which is, you know, not something that I wish was true, but I think it is. And then for me, working in the beauty industry, I think that combination of having skin that was really particular and oftentimes imperfect, combined with the fact that my job was to like create and sell this aspirational idea, I think it was like, I feel very particularly connected to our mission of making a safe space for sensitive skin and hopefully changing the way people walk through the world.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like it's super important too. And in our industry, we're more in the mental health space, but you know, it's a grind building a company, you know,
it's always a grind.
And I think the times that I've struggled or we've struggled, when I do get emails like that from a teenage girl telling me how impactful my help has been or whatever it is, it does push you through the hard times for sure.
And so much of being a founder is really just showing up. You just have to keep showing up. And sometimes it's hard to keep showing up. And so if you don't have something that's bigger than you to show up for, I can see how you would quit.
Totally. So who were you before Tower 28? Like, have you been in the beauty industry a long time, and how did you break into it?
I mean, I've been in the industry for 23 years, so I'm no spring chicken. And this is I've only had one other job. So I worked in
Okay.
consulting. Before this, I went to business school. And then while I was in business school, I started working in the beauty industry. So who was I? I think it was so long ago, but at the same time, I think I was always looking for my purpose. I was always looking
Mhm.
for that thing that was mine, that I could really like sink myself into. I often say that the beauty industry is like the sorority of my adult life, and I mean that. Like, I've made friends,
Right.
as you know, and it's sort of my community too.
Mhm.
So it's been a huge part of my adult life, I would say.
Does it make sense for you in that like for me, my life was a little rocky as a teenager, so it's no shock that I'm now helping teenagers. Were you into beauty as a young person? Were you into makeup? Was
Yeah, I
that your
love that you're
vibe?
asking that. People, so I think the thing that might shock people is that I actually am not super into like makeup and skincare, meaning I was not like someone who, I don't know, like even now, if you walk me into a Sephora, I'm not like, I just want to buy
Right,
everything. I don't
right.
really feel
Because
like
some
that.
people are, like my daughter is like that,
Yeah,
you know?
I'm not like a makeup artist. I'm not someone who
Mhm.
dies for makeup. I really love the role makeup and skincare play in our life, meaning like I think it really does help people at its best. I think it helps you improve your skin and improve the way you look in a way that makes you more confident. But
Yes.
it's not so much that I just want the newest thing.
Mhm.
And I'm in like I care about like every trendy thing. I think I really love the role it plays
Right.
in your life.
And the role your product plays in people's lives,
For
like
sure.
solving that particular
Yeah, for
problem.
sure.
Was there ever like a major turning point for you, or I guess like a spot where you were like, "Holy shit, what am I doing? Like I'm in over my head, or this thing is
As a
like,"
founder or in before that?
I would say founder.
Um Honestly, I've worked in the same industry for a long time. And when I started Tower 28, it's like this thing that I've always wanted to do
Mhm.
was to be a founder, to be an entrepreneur. And I told myself, I was like, I'm working to, learn on someone else's dime. I'm going to get a seat at the table. And at some point, I'm going to do my own thing. And so it was sort of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a slow burn. And
Yeah.
then it was a fast
Mhm.
launch, right? So the last 6.5 years have been incredibly fast, right? Like we've
Mhm.
grown really quickly. And it does feel like this things that I've been working towards for a long time. But then it just sort of lifted off. And I think when you say if there was like one moment, there's been a number of them that
Yeah.
have really felt like, oh my gosh, like this is a real thing. But
Right.
honestly, there's even today, like last week, I was at this dinner, which I I mean, I honestly was surprised that I was invited to, because all of the women there, I just was so impressed by, and
Right.
I couldn't believe that I mean, they actually called the dinner. It was Emma Grede. Do you know who she is?
No.
Emma Grede is the founder of Good American.
Oh,
She's one of the
sure.
founders of Skims. She's like an incredible entrepreneur, and she had a dinner called A Seat at the Table. And the concept of it is literally just like, I'm giving you a seat at the table
Wow.
as a woman, right?
Mhm.
And in a way that men have always had a seat at the table, but now she's
Sure.
opening it up to kind of founders. And the other women in this room were just, I was so impressed with that I couldn't believe I had been invited. I literally said to her, I was like, I don't know how I got invited to this, but I'm so grateful. But there are these moments that even then, like as much as happened, I don't know about everybody, but I think I still sometimes have a real imposter syndrome around it,
Right.
where I found myself introducing myself to people, and everybody there was a founder. So everybody's like, hey, my name's Amy. I'm the founder of Tower 28. And I found myself saying, like, it's okay if you don't know what that is. And they
And they're like, "I know
were
what that
pretty
is." Yeah.
unanimously like, I'm wearing your products.
Right.
Oh, you mean this
Yeah, you
mascara?
lead very humble, but
Or you mean
yeah,
this? And I think there is this thing that like, I don't know, depending on the room and the whatever, like there's,
sure.
you still just do that because, or maybe not everyone does, but I think I still do.
I love that though. I mean, I don't think you want to ever grow out of that because I think it's part of what makes it special,
I think
right?
so
And it helps you to
too.
stay grateful and grounded.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a few more questions about the founding process, but that made me think of something. One of the things that I'm shocked by is the wide net that Tower 28, so I'm not surprised that these women knew of Tower 28 or that all my friends know. But I am surprised sometimes when my 6th grade son's
Yeah.
friends know. I actually was at a baseball game last week, and a lot of the moms will say, "Oh, who are you interviewing next?" And I said, "The founder of Tower 28." And they were like, "Oh, wow, that's great." The daughter was in 6th grade, a little girl, Banner Moynihan, literally
Shout out to Banner.
shout out to Banner, her jaw, like it was like, am I interviewing Justin Bieber, you know?
This makes me
But
I'll
I'm
take
like,
it.
that did surprise me. Is that something you guys set out to do, to reach such a wide?
I mean, yes, actually. I think when people, especially early on, people would say, "What's your demographic?"
Right.
And for me, it's never been about an age group. It's never been about a certain style or even like, I never, a lot of people, every company I've worked with puts together like an archetype. And the archetype is basically your aspirational customer.
Right.
For me, the aspirational customer is not really an age or ethnicity. It's more of a skin type.
Okay.
So it's the idea that these are people who have sensitive skin, that have skin issues, imperfect skin, and they're looking for something that they can trust
Hmm.
and that still is high performance. But I think the X factor that we've been able to unlock is that it also has this like element of cool to it, right? A
Yeah.
lot of the products that are clean and safe for sensitive skin are not cool.
Right.
And so like it was always really important to me that like the products resonate in that way and it's part of the zeitgeist and
Mhm.
people really feel cool holding and using our products the same way they do when they walk out with that little black and white Sephora bag.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of the magic, right? Because it is cool, but then the mom gets to feel good about buying her daughter
Yeah.
something that's clean.
Which is
So
my
it
first
meets.
makeup was Clinique,
Mhm.
right? And that's kind of what I always wanted this to be, like entry level price point, meaning I still got to
Yep.
shop at Nordstrom.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I was getting like the gift with purchase and my mom was getting the real product, but
But nonetheless.
nonetheless, it
Yeah.
was still somehow accessible to me. And that was my first makeup. And that's really what I wanted. So I like to think that in some ways we have superseded age. Like the dinner that I went to, the women there were not, they were not children, they were women.
Right.
And yet every one of them said like, I'm wearing something on my face. And every one of them said something different.
Yeah, that I do think is unique. I mean, I'm all Tower 28 this morning.
Well done.
But thank you. But to have a 6th grader be that impressed. And I also thought it was special that you as a founder, as a woman, get to be an example to young
Oh,
women, which is
thank
like,
you.
what else? I mean, that's so cool, right?
Oh, thank you
and
for saying that.
meaningful, you know?
Yeah.
So let's go back a little. You obviously had a mission or a why. I would imagine you have a decent amount of grit and hustle.
One would argue. I think you have to,
I think
right?
you have to. Yeah.
Like,
I don't think you get here without it. I don't.
No, and I think even if you didn't, right? It's like I know that part of your podcast is about motherhood. I think it's like having children. Like
Mhm.
we're like superhuman. Like the fact that we've like birthed babies out of our
Yes.
bodies, like this is so, I always say it's like the most extraordinary, ordinary thing you can do. And even like, it's like women, you always hear about like women who are able to like pick up cars when their babies are in
Right.
trouble or whatever. Like things that you didn't know you were capable of, you
Yes.
become capable of when you care so much about something. And I think the same is true with being a founder as it is with being a mom.
Yeah. I love that. I'd love to hear more about how you made this thing be. So you have this idea, you want to solve a problem, but how did you turn that into an actual business, a brand? Did you get investors? Like what
Yeah.
happened on the early end with that?
Yeah. So I took 4 years off from working full time. I was
Okay.
working in the industry, working. My kids were really little.
Mhm.
And when my kids were about 5 and 3, I was in the stage where I just felt like, I don't know if you've ever had this, but when you feel like you're doing a lot of things, but you really don't feel like you're doing
Nothing
anything
super well. Yes.
And I just felt like I was on this hamster wheel of
Mhm.
like, I go to work. I was the first executive at they ever hired at Josie Marin Cosmetics. And it was a really fun and fast ride, but it was a big job at the time. Like we were growing crazy, but like I was a big voice in that organization just because of the timing in which I joined, right? Like
Okay.
there wasn't anyone else at the time. And then we filled out the team and did all the things. But the combination of being there at this like super fast growing startup and having small children
Yeah.
and still being a wife and still being hopefully a friend and a daughter and a sister and all those other, you know what I mean?
Everything.
All of the roles
Right.
that we're trying to do. I just felt like I was failing and, or like I was checking the box, but not like, like surviving versus thriving.
Right. Yes.
And it just felt like something had to give. And when I came home and I told my husband, and I still think this is the best thing he's ever done for me, and I'll never not be grateful for it. But he turned to me and he was like, "Why don't you just quit?" And I was like, "What?" I didn't know that was a possibility.
Right.
Well, I didn't know it was a thing, and I kind of I had a good resume, you know what I mean? And so like to kind of walk away from that felt like a frightening thing to do. And my identity, I think, was so much in play. And when he gave me the permission to do it and said I could, I immediately felt it. Like sometimes, you feel a decision and you're like, your whole body is like, this is it. Like, this is the right thing. I don't know if he expected me to quit the next day.
Did you?
Yes. And so I was like,
shit.
I hope he meant that. And we weren't like, listen, I think when I tell people it's like, we were not super wealthy. This was like, we were living in a condo. We had 3 kids. At that point, we had 2 kids.
Okay.
We hadn't bought a house yet. We just lived below our means and we'd saved a lot. And so I think when I quit, we were like, okay, well, how are we going to make this work? And then I took 4 years off. I wasn't a stay-at-home mom completely, but kind of, meaning like my kids would go to school, preschool, kindergarten, whatever. And then at the same time, I was, like consulting, but they didn't see me go to work anymore because I was mostly doing it from home. I wasn't really even getting dressed anymore because it was all virtual.
Okay.
And they thought of me as a stay-at-home mom. And I feel like it's actually so lucky that I had that time that I got to like almost try it on, because I think if you've always been a working mom, you look at the stay-at-home mom with some like envy because you're like, what would that be like? And I think if you've always been a stay-at-home mom, you look at the working mom and you're like, oh, what if I got to use my gifts and I got to control my time? And and I think the fact that I've been able to like do both in a sense gave me so much more appreciation for where I'm at today. But I did that for 4 years. And then the thing that really happened, the day that I had a 3rd kid, I remodeled a house. I kept myself very busy during those 4 years. And then my youngest started preschool. And when my youngest started preschool that same week, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back full time. I really miss it. I met a friend of mine from business school for coffee, and he was like, okay, so what are you doing? And I was like, okay, I want something funded. I want something where I have a seat at the table. I had my whole list of things. And he was like, I thought you wanted to do your own thing. And I was like, I do, but I don't have money. I don't have like a partner. And he's like, well, you don't need a partner. If you have money, you can pay people. It's like, well, I still don't have money.
Right. There's still a problem.
I live in LA. We had just bought our first house and remodeled it. Like I had kids, they were in school, all the things. And he was like, what if I was your first money in? And that was really the unlock and the permission to like, I think had he not said that, I don't know if I would have gone on this journey, because it was almost like for the rest of my life, I would have kicked myself. Because like, who gets an opportunity like that? That says somebody
How long had you known him?
I had known him for probably 18 or 19 years.
Okay.
But we weren't best friends. And I would say today we're not best friends. He was somebody, and which is why like when I think about people always ask me for advice. I'm sure they ask you for advice too. And like, you have to like put your dreams out there. You have to tell people what you want in life. You have to like speak it into existence. You still have to do the work.
Yeah.
But there was something to this thing that like over the years, I had told so many people, one day I'm going to do my own thing. And then I think when I did go to do it, they were like, you've been saying you wanted to do this finally. Like everybody was just waiting for me to kind of create the opportunity for them to be helpful.
Right.
And I think like that's something more of like people who care about you and love you, they all want to see you succeed. They want to believe in your dreams and they want to be part of your journey. And honestly, that was incredibly motivating for me.
So cool. And he must be thrilled with the outcome.
I mean, he's made some really nice money.
I mean, but this doesn't happen every day. He's made some really nice money. What's funny is like, actually, I don't think I've ever said this, but my best friend, her and her husband offered to fill in the rest
Like it was like he was going to give me half, and that was the crazy thing is like he told me this. I got in the car and I called my best friend and she was like, "We'll do it. We'll invest." And I was like, "What? I didn't know that was a thing." And I was so nervous about the idea of having my best friend invest so much
Sure.
money that I immediately was like, "No, I can't do it." And in the end, I think I cut it in half. Like whatever they
Okay.
said they would do, I cut it in half. And it's still this like running joke where they're like, "Thanks a lot. We could have made a lot of money."
Yeah. And wait, now at this point, so now people are ready to give you money. Do you have a idea
So it
yet,
was
or like
about
a
30
specific?
days between the time I had that conversation and when the round was closed. So I raised $500,000. And at that time, and then I kind of quickly made up a deck because I was like, well, I have to have a business idea if I'm going to ask people to like give me
Yeah,
money,
that's what.
right?
Yeah.
And the idea was always beauty. I mean, there's
Okay.
really like no other
So it was
thing it
beauty.
wasn't like I went from like, selling sunglasses or something to
Right,
this. Like
right,
it was
right.
always beauty. I would say the idea and the concept around it has shifted a little bit. It was always clean, but it was more like probably the biggest thing that changed, honestly, was we always had the same ethos around the way that we made the products, the same philosophy. I didn't have as much of a focus on eczema or on sensitive skin,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because I felt really weird about putting myself
Yourself.
into the
Right,
story
right.
because I'm not famous. I'm not a person who has an influence in terms of like I don't have a platform or anything like that. And so I thought like, oh, like, and nor did I think I wanted to be like forward facing like that.
Sure.
And I still don't really, to be honest with you. Like meaning like it's not like I want to sit and
Right.
do get ready with me's and things like that. I actually quite like this type of a format because
Mm-hmm.
I think hearing people's stories
Sure.
is really important.
And I feel like that matters so much, the eczema piece that, I feel
Yeah,
like,
and that's the crazy thing is like as much as I was so in the mode of knowing how to support someone else's dream, be a number two, tell someone
right.
else's story, and so much that I just didn't tell my own. And then not until we launched the brand and I was going around and telling editors about it, they were like, "Well, tell me about this. Like, why are you doing this eczema? Why this?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, 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 I have eczema." And they were like, "Why didn't you start there? Why didn't you tell me
They're
that in
like,
the
let's
first
lead with
place?"
that. Right.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah, like people relate to other people. We need to hear each other's stories in order to feel, I think, more connected, less alone." And so I think that was the thing that was more of an aha later.
Right. So people invest, you create the brand,
Yeah.
you start to build. One of the things I want to highlight, because I feel like we live in this weird era where kids, there's YouTube and TikTok and everybody's an overnight sensation. I'm
Yeah.
imagining that wasn't your story.
Yeah.
What was the grind like? Like, how did you actually end up in Sephora? Like, how did this become a brand that Banner Moynihan knows about?
Yeah. Thank you, Banner. Um, I mean, it's been slow and fast in different ways, right? Like, and I remember when we launched, it was like a Shopify site and an Instagram mood board. We literally bought
Right.
a template off of Shopify and then like made it custom to ourselves, like, tried to make it nice. We made an Instagram mood board, which I feel like you're not even supposed to do anymore. Like we grabbed other people's pictures and we, tried to make it cute. It's like we played with it like we played with Pinterest.
Right.
And then we shot pictures with our phone. Like it was really not very exciting. And then, I remember at that same time, another brand, a friend of mine, had a brand called Petite and Pretty. And I remember her seeing her launch. Her name's Sam Cutler. And she's since passed, actually, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But when she launched, she had this huge, like, Beverly Hills hotel launch. And it was so beautiful. Like, Paris Hilton was there. I mean, just like it was so over the top and so beautiful. And I look back on that and I think about how I was jealous. I was like, oh my God, like I couldn't afford to do that. I didn't raise enough money to be able to do that. We launched our Instagram mood board on our Shopify site, and my team, two girls who are still on my team today, and my husband went to Sugarfish for lunch. Like that was that was our launch party. It was
Right.
just like the four of us at Sugarfish, and we were like, yay.
What about the Sephora stuff? So I'm interested also just to see like how it actually manifested, from one thing to the next thing, the next thing. So how did it become really what it is?
Yeah. So
Like, how did it take off?
it happened really quickly, actually. So we launched in April of 2019
Yep.
and just virtually, right? And then by July, we were in Credo. So 2 months, April, May, June, July, 3 months later, we were in Credo, which is a clean beauty retailer. And then by September, we were in Sephora.com. By March, we were in all stores. So March 2020, we were, which is, not a year later, we were in every single Sephora in US and Canada on a half shelf. And that was right before COVID hit.
Do you remember being in Sephora and not being a name that anyone knew?
Oh my God. I remember walking into Sephora after we were in every single store. And I would walk into these stores and I'd be like, hi, do you carry Tower? Can you show me where Tower 28 is? And they were like, we don't have that brand. I don't know what that is. I was like, I didn't know how to be like, I'm the founder. So, I mean, it was so, I don't have a better word for it, but it was embarrassing, right? Like you felt a little like, I felt very humbled by that. But I think to your point about even the story you shared, like you have those moments where like you start somewhere. And I think actually that gives you a whole ton of gratitude that now, to your point, Banner knows who we are.
Right. Which is so cool.
Yeah.
So what is the name Tower 28? Like, where does that come from?
So Tower 28 is a real lifeguard tower at the intersection of Santa Monica and Venice, which is not too far from where we are today. It's a real place. I don't know if you've obviously had to name your business.
Yeah.
It's not very easy to name.
My husband named it, yes.
A business, but you have to, if you want to get a domain name and a handle and a trademark, it's like very difficult. And so I had a hard time figuring out a name. And then one day a friend of mine sent me a text and it said, hey, we're all going to the beach. Meet me at Tower 28. And I was like, wait, is that it? Like, is it like, it's a real place. It's a meeting point for friends. The beach is this place. Everybody gets to enjoy a clean and healthy lifestyle. And that was always kind of the ethos, was like, I wanted it to be healthy, but in a way that wasn't like just shoving it down your throat, but like here it's like a lifestyle being healthy, right?
Yeah.
And so that was, and I've just loved the fact that like Venice and Santa Monica, if you've been, is this area where like Santa Monica has like tourists and double strollers with like people are walking with like crab shorts, you know what I mean? And then Venice is like, you can smell the weed in the air. You can watch someone getting a tattoo. You can, so it's just like a really different vibe. And I love the fact that it is both and.
I love that. Do your kids think this is cool?
I do think they think it's cool. I think they're really proud. And I think they're also, they feel like they're part of it because they have been.
They've kind of come up with it.
They've come up with it. I mean, think about like how young they were when I started it. So they're 16, 14, 10. So that means my oldest, that was 9 years old.
Wow.
Right? So they were 9, 7, what? Young. I'm like math.
Young.
They were young. I mean, Charlie was just in preschool, right? So old enough to understand, and still young enough to be kind of part of it too. And so I think they feel like, I mean, we've taught them how to like go into a Sephora and clean off the gondola and restock the shelves and do all the things. My kids, oftentimes, if you ever see a mascot, it's usually my kids are inside that mascot, So we make them
learning from the bottom up.
Yeah. And I think also to me, it's like, I want them to know that like, it's a family business. All of this, the life that they get to lead, meaning like they, even just like being able to go out to eat, right? Those types of things don't show up out of nowhere. It takes hard work.
It takes hard work.
And I want them to be part of it.
Yeah. So getting to that, this podcast really is about all the hats we wear as moms. And I think being a founder is amazing and all of this is amazing. But what I find most impressive is that you were able to build this while being a mom and a wife.
Yeah.
So that had to be a hustle. I mean,
I think it's still a hustle. And I think the biggest, I often say this, and I think it's really true. I think the person you choose to marry is maybe the most important decision you ever make in your life, because it really does dictate your happiness. It's the only family member you ever get to choose before, right? Like, it's not like you got to meet your kids before you had them, right? So I feel super grateful to my husband who's behind you because I don't think there's like, the fact that he really supported me in doing this and encouraged me. He also created a lot of boundaries, to be honest with you. Like very early on, he was like, listen, we will fight and we will not get along if this is like something you keep putting money to and it doesn't fruit. It doesn't bear fruit. Like
Right.
that's going to be really hard for us too. And so he put boundaries on it pretty early. It was like, we're not going to do it for more than 5 years, that you're not going to
Okay.
make money. And we're not going to put more than, I think it was $150,000 in. And he was like, this is like our max.
So smart though to have clear boundaries right out of the gate.
I mean, and we talked
I
about
hope my
these
husband's not
things.
listening to this right now.
Yeah.
He's taking notes.
But I think that was really important. And I think also, there should be, unfortunately, I still think a lot of men have a harder time seeing their wives, I think, succeed, right? And become breadwinners and whatnot.
It's
It's
not
society.
a typical role, right?
Yes.
So how early on did he come in as
He didn't come in until maybe, if we're 6.5 years, probably 3 years ago now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was about halfway, I would say, to now. So he had always kind of been around the business. And like, to be honest with you, like Victor had a very nice career himself. He made way more money than I ever did. I think a lot of that is he chose a profession that was just more highly paid than mine. So he was in finance.
Okay.
I was always in marketing for beauty companies. He was always the breadwinner, and he had, he's actually much more pedigreed than I am in terms of school, in terms
Sure.
of jobs and that type of a thing. But when the business started to really lift and like become a thing and the expected value of the business, you could just tell that there was potential. It was his idea. He was like, I think this is the time. I think that you need me to come on full time. And that was scary for me because prior to that, we didn't eat based on my income. I wasn't taking an income.
Sure.
We could live off of his income even if we couldn't like.
So totally different pressure, really.
It's a different pressure. Like we
Yeah.
weren't able, on his income, we weren't able to save, but we were able to live. But even that is a really different situation, right? Then it became a little bit, it became all or nothing.
Like
and so
this has to go.
it has to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was something that really changed the calculus. But in terms of how, to your point, I think so much of my ability to do this is really because I used to really feel like I worked like the double, like that second shift, or like all you do is work and then you go home and all you do is take care of the kids. And I actually feel like now we're much more in partnership where now he helps a lot with the kids. He actually does all the kids scheduling,
Okay.
which is, as you know, when you have older kids, sports, even like
It's
signing
a
up for
lot.
the PSAT, like things like that, that
Yeah.
are just like a mental load, and
Mhm.
keeping track of deadlines and making sure we show up for parent teacher conference. Like there's a lot there. And he does all of that. So I think that's made a huge difference, both in my ability to do this, but also in our relationship. I think it's been really
and
good.
also like letting him have a little sneak peek into wearing some of those hats is
Oh.
probably like great. Like even if I am on a vacation and I come home,
Yeah.
my husband will be like, holy shit, like there's a lot that goes on here, And I
Yeah.
think that's great for them to be able to experience
Well,
that.
I think it makes you appreciate each other more
Exactly.
because you understand. Like I would say before this happened, I was the primary for everything, right?
Right.
But I was also working full time. And I don't know if that's a
Which
dynamic.
isn't uncommon.
Yes, but I think it's like a dynamic that often happens, right?
Right.
Like you almost defer in some ways because you're like, okay, well, you're making, even if you're both making money, but he's making more. We take on these roles because we're like, well, we're women.
This is what we do.
This is what we do. We do it. So
Right.
I wouldn't even blame him. I would say, and he would actually probably argue that so much of it is I didn't let him help me before.
Right. I think that's a big part of it
Yeah.
for women.
Like
At least
you
in my house.
don't like, oh, you're going to clean the house, but you don't do it well.
Right.
You're going to schedule the things, but you're not good at it.
I think also women, if we're speaking stereotypically, you get really good at whatever those things are because you're doing it all day, So if my husband's going to put somebody to bed or do something, it's not that I don't think he can, but I can
Yeah.
do it so quick and
Yes.
so well that I'm like, let me just do it,
Yeah, but
and then that
we
becomes a whole thing.
100%, but we also like train people to treat us,
Yes.
the way that they do. And so, like I doing it all on my own and then feeling like bitter about it,
Yeah.
that's not really helpful either.
Yeah. But that's
So,
such a thing.
yeah, it's such a thing. But I
Such
think
a thing.
like now actually it's been such a nice forcing mechanism because I think now like our relationship is more, I don't want to say 50-50, but kind of like, you know what I mean? Like we
Mhm.
both do it.
Yeah, you're a team
Yeah. Whereas
in
I
this
remember,
effort to.
what used to bother me so much is especially when I was younger, I think my husband saying things like, I help so much more than the other dads do. And I'm like, that's the point. You help. You feel like you help.
Yeah,
It's my
right.
job that you help me with.
Right.
And I think there's something in that dynamic that is like
That's systemic. That's
systemic, 100%. But
totally.
we
Because
also,
they're your kids too, by
yes,
the
they're
way.
your kids too. It's like you help
Right.
by babysitting them. Like that's
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's my husband's great. Don't get me wrong, but I think like it's been a journey for us too. And I would argue a lot of that was my own problem that I set up in the beginning because I took it.
Yeah, and it also depends on how you were raised and what you saw and what you bring,
For sure.
what you bring to the table.
Well, and also like the expectations that you give yourself, right? Like I threw all those birthday parties for my kids. Like I remember my son Logan, we threw a birthday party with like we rented the fire truck to come and I made all the water bottles that were custom, like had fire truck logos on them. Like he doesn't care.
Right.
That the matching napkin and the, you know what I mean?
Some
but
of
like,
that's just part of the culture, the mom culture, and the other moms are doing it. It's just like some weird shit we do. It is some weird shit we do,
It is. And one, I guess I would even say probably at that time, that was almost like a weird creative outlet for me.
Yes.
But like now in retrospect, like being a little more thoughtful about like what actually gives me energy that like, and being honest with myself. Like if I was going to do that again today, I would be honest with myself that I was doing it for me.
Right.
As opposed to like,
you're doing it for you and you're doing it for the show, like the other, whatever that is. It still, I guess, boils down to you.
Not that I'm doing it.
Not for your kid.
But I'm not doing it for my kid.
Right.
He doesn't care.
He could care less.
No, you could go to Scooter's Jungle and you know what I mean? Like it doesn't really matter what you're doing for. And even now I catch myself where, like my kids were upset that I had to travel for work recently. And I heard myself say to my 10-year-old, I was like, well, someone's got to pay for hot lunch every day. And I was like, oh, no, the truth is I actually like what I do. And I like, yes, we need to make money, but also like the truth is I do enjoy what I'm doing and I am doing it for myself.
I love that though, because to your original comment, thriving instead of surviving.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing because we should, yes, we do need to put food on the table or whatever it is, but we should as women and people enjoy our days and what we're doing and not be shy about enjoying our work or whatever it is that we're doing.
Well, and I don't want my kids to think of work as frankly as this like
just trying to buy that hot lunch.
Yeah. Hot lunch in LA can be expensive.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think a lot about the role modeling that we do for our kids and the way the words we use and the things that we say. And I don't think it's or I know it's not helpful to make them feel guilty for the decisions that we make because it also lacks like agency.
Yeah. And it's also helpful internally to even say that, right? Because it's taking away from your enjoyment of what you're doing too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So how important are female friendships in because you've got a lot going on. You've got 3 kids running an empire. Do you have any friends? Do I have any friends? Do you have time for friends?
Do I have any friends? So I am just coming off of a weekend with 3 of my best girlfriends from college. We just went to Ojai this past weekend. We've been friends for 30 years. And it's funny you ask this because we were talking about it all weekend. And the words I keep remembering from that is like, you can't make new old friends. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but the older I get, the more I crave my old friendships.
Me too.
Because it's they just know you in a way that like, and you get back to it so fast, and you can have
Yeah.
depth in a conversation so easily. So I don't know, female friendships, and I think a lot about, again, back to your first question about purpose, right? Like, what are
Yeah.
we all doing and what do we want? Like, I'm pretty clear that the most important thing to me is my relationships. That doesn't
Mm.
mean that I'm not like striving to get to wherever I'm trying to go, but like I really care about the journey, and I care about who I go on the journey with.
Mm-hmm.
I care about like who I hire, what my relationships are like with the people on my team. And I care a lot about the friendships I have too, because I think like, I don't know, it won't be fun
Right.
to get to wherever it is that I'm going, and then all of
Wherever
a
that
sudden
is.
you're
Right.
alone, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no,
And
female friendships have been really important. And I would even say female founder relationships is more of an unlock for me, and in this journey, where it's like just being friends with more people who are doing the same thing you're trying to do,
sure.
and being able to lean on each other and learn from each other is incredibly helpful.
Any female founders that you kind of go to or you look up to or
I mean, I'm on this group thread for beauty with about 25 other founders.
wow.
And we all kind of regularly text, and we do a really good job of supporting each other too. So like Melanie Benner just launched that brand Lore, which is a fragrance
Okay.
brand. And she was formerly, the CEO of Rode and whatever. And like all of us were kind of like giving her flowers that she had done this thing. So I think like that kind of thing is really important to do, or sometimes it's like, I need an HR consultant who has one,
Right.
you
And just
know,
having people that are on the journey like kind of get it,
and
right?
get
It has
and
to be
I think
good.
that is super important. And then even I think I said this a second ago, but I just met Emma Greed,
Mm-hmm.
who is this really, she has a podcast called Aspire.
Okay.
And so I've been listening to her podcast, and I just like kind of, when you listen to someone, you're like, agree,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I've really looked up to her, and meeting her and having her, like I said, I was in this room and I said to her, I was like, I don't know how I got invited, but thank you for having me. And she like looked me dead in the eyes and she was like, you're here because I picked you. I curated every single person in this room, and you belong here. And there's something so powerful about our ability as people to see someone else
Yes.
and be seen, that I think is so important, that we need to all know that we can do for each other.
Right. And we should.
And we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
and
that.
and I think we all just need it.
Yeah. Back to the mom thing. What would you say, because I don't want to miss this, what would you say has been your biggest challenge being a mom?
I think every year for my New Year's resolution, I kind of write the same thing,
Mm.
which is just to be more present.
Yeah.
And I don't think this job has helped me, because
It's a tough one for everyone.
It's just that, I mean, and now you have social media and everything else, like where our brains are just like
Mhm.
our attention is so fractured. But I think for me, it's just, they say like, what is it? The days are short and the years
So
are, what's that saying? The days are long. The days are long and the
the
years are short.
Yeah.
And I think there's something so true about that,
So
where
true. Gosh.
like my daughter, actually, my 14-year-old, I'll like look at pictures of her as a baby, and I'll show them to her. I'm like, remember when you were so little? And she's like, why aren't you just enjoying me right now? Why aren't you
I'm
just like
right here.
hang? She's like, I'm right here. Why
Yeah.
don't you like me today? And I'm like, oh, that's such a good.
Yeah.
She's like, stop looking at pictures of me as a baby.
That's been one of the, I think, positive things about having such an age gap. So I have 18-year-old twins, and then I have an 11-year-old.
Mm.
So like, it's almost like, I mean, on bad days, I feel like I'm like fucking rerunning a marathon where
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I'm too tired, I'm done. But on good days, I'm like, wow, like I know the value of these moments, because
Yeah.
I would do anything to have my 18-year-olds like to get to do some
Yeah.
of it over,
Yeah.
especially like the single mom stuff, some of it I'm like, God, did I do a good job? But now that I get to do it with my 11-year-old, I try to really get into your
I think
point about being
that
present.
to your point, I have a third child, and I always think that about my third child. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
just like try to land the plane this time.
Yeah. Right. The last kid, I think, gets that a little bit more. I mean, there's parts of it where you're worn out. Like, I'm not looking forward to having him come home late at night. Like, I'm too fucking
Yeah.
old to stay up that late. But the part of getting to remind myself, like, be present. Like, he still holds my hand in the car. And when we're
Oh,
driving, I just like really try to take it in.
yeah.
Whereas before with my big kids, when they were that age, I was hustling, I was working full time, I was
So
stressed about
distracted.
money. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a constant struggle for me. I mean, even
Yeah.
as we're saying this, I'm like thinking, I'm like
Yeah.
considering just even my day yesterday
Yeah.
and about like, I had dinner with my daughter last night, just the two of us. And the number of times I had to be like, okay, I'm going to put down my phone, but I'm also going to like put it out of sight. So
Yeah.
don't even like look
Yes.
at it and don't answer texts. Don't, you know what I mean?
I always
Like,
tell my husband, just turn it over, because if he sees it, then he feels, like he
yeah.
has to respond.
Yeah. But I mean, we have to remember we're always role modeling for those kids.
Would you say that's the thing you're working on the most?
Being present.
Hmm.
I mean, I would say that's been like the most consistent thing that I've told myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all we can do is try, like we said in the beginning.
Yeah.
We're all out here doing our best, Amy. I think the last thing I would like to get to, because I feel like it's so amazing, is the Clean Beauty Summer School.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like as women, giving back is really where it's at, being able to bring other women up.
Yeah.
So can you just tell a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge part of I don't know, the what's in it for me
Hmm.
is so Clean Beauty Summer School is a program that I started in 2020. And this was, if you remember, like we were not a big brand
Right.
at that point. We had just gotten into Sephora. And a woman wrote to me and she said, hey, Glossier is giving out grants. This was at the height of Black Lives Matter. And she said, Glossier is giving out grants. If you decide to do the same, could you give me one? And she was a Black woman from, I think it was like Detroit. And I was like, well, I mean, I had literally just taken a loan and used my house, collateralized against my house for the business. And I was like, I am probably in no position to be giving
Yeah.
anybody else money. But Instagram versus reality, she thought our business was bigger than it was. And so I wrote to her and I was like, I don't think I can give you money, but I have been in the same industry for a long time. And if it's helpful, I'm happy to jump on a call and see if I can give you some advice. And we spoke for maybe like, I don't know, an hour. And she afterwards wrote me the nicest note. And it was basically like, wow, thank you so much for, answering my questions. And that's so useful because she lives not in an industry that has a lot of beauty
Hmm.
executives, right? So she's not close or in proximity. And this is COVID and all the, like, sometimes I think information can feel like it's very gate kept in an industry and you don't know how to start or where to start. And so um, I thought, well, how could I do this and at a larger scale for more people and with the rest of my community and tag on to that. And
Right.
so what the program is today and what it always has been is we have people apply. We have two tracks. It's a founder track and an influencer track.
Okay.
We have about 200 to 300 people who apply for each track, and we narrow it down to 10.
Okay.
And the idea is that those 10 people are 10 people and brands that we believe, if they had the right amount of a little more mentorship, access, and education, that they have the ability to, that we might be able to help them succeed. And so because it's virtual, you can be from wherever you are. And we basically bring in kind of what I consider the best of in the industry. So like Danessa Myricks, who's another brand at Sephora, and she's also a product developer herself. She teaches a class about PD. I teach a class about marketing. We'll have someone, like we have kind of the best of the best, I think.
How long do they get to stay in that, or what
It's a
is?
10-week program.
Okay.
So during the summer. And so they take classes, 1 to 2 classes every week virtually. And at the end of it, they do a pitch day and there's a winner. And the winner gets a suite of prizes, which is basically like a startup founder pack. So it's like $10,000 cash. It's a retainer with a law firm. It's a retainer with a PR agency, like all these things that are really useful at
Right.
the beginning, right? But I think more importantly, once you're in the program, you're in the program.
Okay.
And so now we've done it for 6 years. So we have, 60 founders and we've only done the influencer one twice. So we have 20. So we have 80 people who are now in the program. Plus we have mentors and teachers. And like we host events too. And so we just try to make sure we bring people together and that you can also come back to the class. So like say you're not ready to hear a class about like finance and operations, but because that's not where you're at. But last summer you heard it and you're like, maybe this summer I am ready. And it's because it's virtually, we can open it to everybody. So people are able to kind of come back. But it is a program I'm really proud of because it's not just me, but it really is. I think it is the only program like this of its kind that is the industry for the industry. So everyone volunteers for the program. They volunteer their time and we really just facilitate it.
Right.
But I just think there's no other programs, like there's investment funds that do this, but they obviously have the hope that they will be able to invest.
Right.
Like, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful. But I think we're the only program that has no, I don't really have skin in the game.
Right. There's no win.
I have no ulterior motive. Like, I really just hope that these people do well. And at the very minimum, I hope that giving them that vote of confidence is something that really like propels them.
I love that. And even more, I think when you're given an opportunity like that, you're more apt to pass that on. So as they become successful or in their lives, it's just also about sort of like leading with your heart. I think that encourages other people to do the same.
I mean, I will tell you one quick story. When I started Tower 28 and I was still in the process of developing the products and the brand and everything else, there's this woman who's the chief merchant at Sephora. Her name's Margarita Arraghiata. So I'll give her her flowers. And I was actually always like very afraid of her. Like she was a very senior executive at Sephora my entire career. I like literally think of her as like the Anna Wintour of beauty. Like she was very scary to me because she was so perfect. When I started Tower 28, I went to lunch with her one day and she gave me some really great advice. And at the end of that meal, I said, what if you did this with me more often? What if I just paid you for your time? And like, I don't know what the frequency, every other week we go to lunch and I'll pay you whatever you want. And you can just give me
like a mentor,
advice, like a mentor. But I wanted to pay her because I wanted to like make it a regular thing. And she said to me, she was like, please never say that to me again. I will never take money from you. And she's like, I'm happy to help you. But the only thing I ask is that when you're in a position that you turn around and help someone else. And I think hearing that so early in this journey really meant a lot to me because I felt like the generosity of not strangers, but the generosity of people is so important on the journey. Like, especially when it's one thing now that now we're doing, well, we can pay people. It's a different thing. But like in the beginning, you need people to really believe in you.
Right.
I mean, I would argue the entire time you do, but that meant so much to me. And it's something I really held on to. And part of the reason I started Clean Beauty Summer School.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if I could impact people with, listening to this would be two messages. One, that we're moms, right? And no one's perfect and nobody needs to be. But also that like we need to give back and help each other and pull women up and help people. And I think one of the ways we can do that is by being real and authentic.
And sharing our stories.
Because when you lead with this like weird perfection thing or whatever, it's not, I don't think people really are attracted to it, and it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't,
I mean, it's the whole like Instagram versus reality thing, right? Like it's so easy to look at somebody else and say like, oh, it's been so perfect for them, or like how lucky they are. And I think sometimes that can feel really isolating.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, the more I get to know other people and the older I get, the more you realize like nobody's life is perfect, right? And we all kind of have bumps and struggles along the way.
Yeah. And if you really start talking, like I was talking to the woman who did my makeup this morning from Tower 28, actually, and she was telling her story of coming up, and just like so enjoyable to listen and to learn, and to be humbled by other people's experience.
Well, and I think the other thing too, and I think this is kind of what you were getting at, is that like, so I joined this group called YPO. Do you know what this is? It's the Young Presidents Organization, which is kind of like a club for CEOs.
Yep.
And it's predominantly men. It is probably 80 to 90% men.
I bet.
And what I have observed, especially as somebody who's worked in the beauty industry, I don't know as many men from a professional standpoint. And seeing these men and the way they kind of move, they all help each other. They
Right.
all bring each other in on deals. They all they really do help each other because they come from a place of like abundance.
Mm.
And I think women historically have not been as good as that at that, right? Because I think, and I'll speak for myself, when I was younger, there were not that many women at the top. And so I felt like if it wasn't, yes, at the bottom, there were a lot of women, but at the very top, there weren't that many that were going to
Right.
make
If
it.
you want to be that one.
And so it did not feel like
Sure.
collaboration over competition. And I think a lot about that now and how important it is to role model that and to be that, because how else will it change, right? So I know my husband calls it go first, go positive, but I really do try to give without expectation, right? So just to, I don't know, just give, be nice. I expect nothing from the Clean Beauty Summer School. I don't expect anyone to go and tell someone else I'm great, or I don't know, whatever it is, right?
Right.
We're actually super careful around the way we kind of use press for it, because I really want it to be about shining a light and giving the flowers to the people in the program. It's really not about me, but
Right.
I'm also in a position to do it. So I think, I don't know, I do hope more women do that for each other, because I feel like I've had women do it for me.
And it boils down to what you've said the whole interview, which is really about relationships, and that it's wonderful to achieve and to have great success, or for Tower 28 to be this amazing company. But at the end of the day, I think how we connect with each other, how we enjoy our days, and trying to stay present is really where it's at.
I don't think anyone sits on their deathbed and thinks about the achievements and the money and whatever. It's really
There's
just
research about that, when they interview people on their deathbed. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. It was a wonderful conversation, and I'm just super excited about it. If people want to learn more about Tower 28 or Clean Beauty Summer School, how would they find out?
So our handles are Tower28Beauty. Tower28 Beauty for Instagram and TikTok. Website, Tower28Beauty.com. I'm Amy, AMYLIU _T28. And Clean Beauty Summer School, we basically put out applications for every year around April.
Okay.
And so look for the landing pages and sign up on our website.
Awesome. And if you're listening, please feel free to subscribe, do whatever you can, because we need to get this thing out there.
Yeah.
Thanks so
and
much.
Eat cake for dinner.
That's right. Normally I bring a cake, but I couldn't get it all the way here.
It's okay.
Well, thanks so much, Amy.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. So the only thing I'm regretting that I said